Thank you for tuning in to Survival Supply Point Podcast. I'm JoJo, your host, and today we ask a real tough question. Are you prepared? Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know the site already, we are survival, we are prepping, we are what needs to happen to guarantee your safety. No, we're not exactly going to give you everything, but we are trying to give you the education so that you are able to survive in a world that's now shown to be unpredictable. Before, it was kind of out in the middle of nowhere. You didn't really see it. You could go to the movie theaters, the beach, a restaurant on Saturday, hang out with your buddies or your girlfriends on Sunday, and life was easy. Well, now you've been stuck inside for 3 months, whether it's a pandemic, an economic crash, or now the protest looting. And so what you need to understand is it's not over, and it's not going to be over for a while. Now, I'm not trying to give a whole doom and gloom situation, but just because things are starting to return to normal doesn't mean that we are out of the woods. We've done a great job thus far, making it this far. There are people that didn't survive the pandemic. There are people that haven't survived the economic downturn. There are people that haven't survived because of the protest. Things have happened in this world. And to be prepared for anything that can come your way is what I am aiming to do for you, our wonderful listeners. And so I ask these questions because deep down, there's the question you really need to ask yourself is, am I prepared? If you were a prepper before, you've had 3 months. Have you ran through it? If you're new to prepping or if you're new to survival or any of this kind of thing, you need to look at yourself and you got to think, out of everything that can happen to me in my current situation, what am I not ready for? And granted, there's things that you're never going to really be ready for. But without just going through every single scenario that there could possibly be, you know some general things. Do you have food? Do you have water? Do you have protection? Do you have a plan should you and your family, if you are spread out, have the ability to communicate? Do you have a spot that you guys have zoned together and said, if we can't communicate, let's meet at this spot? There are different things you can do. But the idea that people haven't even discussed it, even if it's over, as stupid as it sounds, even if it's over, drinking, and you and your buddies are just sitting there, well, man, if the zombies ever came, well, if the zombies ever came, you'd have a plan now, wouldn't you? Now, you can go ahead and when the zombie conversation comes up, the bomb conversation, the earthquake, hurricane, tornado discussion. There are so many things that you can do to prepare you and your friends and family. So then brings me to the point, why the video? Why the podcast? Why the YouTube discussion on this? And the part I want to get across to you is that this year in particular, I don't know what it is. I don't know if something happened in the ethos, or I don't know if maybe Mercury is no longer in retrograde. I don't know. And I don't care. But the fact is, this year is something special or unique or different or whatever words you want to give to it. But it's not over. This year is going to keep going. And so I'm asking you to take into consideration for your friends and family, your loved ones, what are you preparing for, and are you even prepared? Now, I don't know if, and I can't remember because I kind of just ramble on, if I've even brought this up, but you've had a pandemic, you've had an economic downturn on a global scale, and you've had civil unrest. And to think that that stuff is going to go away at any feasible amount of time, even if it was to just go and be around as long as it has been. So let's just say this last 3 months. Well, if it only goes out 3 more months, that's still most of the year. And that's just saying if that's the only thing that happens. Mind you, there's an election year coming up, and you could easily envision the possibility of there being some sort of flashpoint of some level of discourse or conflict, big or small. And mind you, this is without getting into the fact that, guess what? The West Coast of America has a fire season. The East Coast is in the middle of a hurricane season. The Midwest and South is going to have tornadoes. There's going to be a lot of little things in local or regional areas that's completely irrelevant to the national conversation. And chances are you live in one of them. And granted, eventually it's going to be winter. And who knows, that the way this year's going, there could be some Arctic freeze where it's impossible to get anywhere if you live in the north part of the country. And on top of it all, I'm reminded now that even as we speak, food manufacturers are talking about how the supply chain is falling apart. So you mix that all together in one big pot, and the question you got to ask yourself is, while the groceries are on the shelves, why aren't you buying that extra can? Why aren't you getting that one thing of a 24 pack of water, or whatever the number is? Because now would be the time to get that before, as you've seen with toilet paper of all things, when it's not there, people go crazy. When it's not there, people don't make rational decisions. And when it's not there, people will do things to get it. And that is what you need to prepare for. That is why you need to sit down with your friends and family, make your plan, whatever it is. That's why you need to maybe take $5 or $10, or even if it's the 75 cents to buy the one can of soup every time you go to the grocery store. You need to start making those preparations so that when the time comes, not if, when the time comes, you and your family are in a position to where you are not panicking. You can join the crowds and stand in line, because I've seen a lot of lines, even on accident, where I didn't even mean to show up. Those food bank lines, where you can even still go to those lines to pick up food. But at home, should push come to shove, you have something to eat. Because my heart went out to those people, but I also knew that they had not taken the preparations to take care of their own family. And your heart goes out to the kids, but this is why we did survivalsupplypoint.com. It's to inform people and remind people, really serve as a reminder, because for ages, people had been preparing and storing things and taking care of themselves. And only recently did they start depending on the as needed economy. I forget, there's an actual word for it. And if you know it, please put it in the shelf. But like the in-demand economy. Even, grocery stores don't even have a back anymore. But I just want you to take the time today when you hear this to go, am I really ready for something? And it doesn't have to be, the bunker with the shelves of guns and the water that lasts 10 years, a 10-year supply of water and a 20-year supply of food. But do you just have enough to last a month? Really think about that and really give it some consideration. I want to thank you for listening to me today. Please, if there's a topic you want me to cover in any depth, please go ahead and put it in the comment section. And again, go to survivalsupplypoint.com, take a look at the articles, get yourself informed. There's also some links to some educational material. Please feel free to use that resource. And until next time, you take care, stay safe, stay prepared.